The local inclusion agenda has basically started as independent identifications of action, where they were separate from the district local government plans. But in these 5 years, our work has been to ensure that we basically make sure that they are included in the main level district worker plan, such that they are not separate. And that has already been achieved. All these actions that were discussed and decided have already been now included in that. Even when we leave at the end of this year, this initiative will continue, because now these actions have already penetrated the district level work plan, and to us we think it can move like that until, because the persons with disabilities right now are vibrant, they won't allow their points to just get out from the district local government plans.
Thank you so much for those submissions. They're very insightful and interesting. For Rachel, I think I've had iSave model as well as the PEEP model. I believe these are village savings and loan associations at the grassroots level. How have you been able to use these models to encourage and empower these people living within these communities to be better and do better for themselves?
Thank you very much, Bella. Maybe I can start from the last point. This is something that can be replicated anywhere, any project, even within your own family. And I'm proud to say that ZOA has already taken up the PEEP approach and integrated within its own other projects. But back to what We Are Able has done, with the iSave, maybe I can start with the iSave. People are being mobilized. Persons with disabilities, maybe my colleagues will help me with the percentages that I've just got out of my mind, but they have a percentage composition. With that composition, we hope that when we bring people throughout the community, that is the smallest community level, the village or ward, they come and they self-mobilize themselves. Sometimes it is one way of relieving stress away from even just saving. It creates a sense of ownership for the elderly and a place to reflect on key issues. Through the researches we have done, we've realized that majority of the people, they have found this as their new home, a sense of belonging and ownership, if we could put it that way. So for us within We Are Able, away from just putting themselves together, we hope that as they put one coin after the other, the money will have to accumulate, and later on, it will be in position to support the now PEEP model. When we're starting to do the implementation, we looked at it that as people are mobilizing themselves, then it is very easy to target these same people to be taken through the PEEP model. The PEEP model looks at the household as a household and your own the members within, to do planning as a household with the resources that you have. What are your needs? You look at your current situation and where you want to be in the future. Then, of course, we take them through the drawings and how exactly do you want maybe your homestead to look like and what. But with the detailed plans, it really structures then deeper around food security. If I want to do maybe 5 acres of cassava, how am I going to be in position to achieve the 5 acres? It might require me maybe to save 100,000, depending on how cheap it can be within the village. It might require me to have the smallest of just a hole, but I don't have it right now. So with that planning, it helps you to understand how exactly to achieve, implement, achieve, and then obtain what you want. So that's where now it comes all together, or it can be aligned very well with the iSave I have planned. I'm within a savings group. I'm saving this money at the end of the cycle. Perhaps I have 600,000. So now I have to sit down and I try to cut down the 600,000. Can I remove something off for the children, for the food, and then maybe put back in the garden as I had planned? It could be even iron sheets, it could be changing, something like that. So just to go back to your question, how are these ones working together is to ensure that you target the same people with the same models, and then you see how we can follow them up to see to it that they achieve their plans at the end of the day.
And the honest better, there is a very big connection in these two models, the participatory integrated plan and the iSave model. both of them come in at different times, but they support each other. When someone sells, for example, the extra crops from the people planning, they are able to bring money to the ISAF groups.
Yes.
And now in the process of saving, they are also able to pick loans and also buy inputs for the garden. So you find that these models are just integrated and they are basically targeting person with disability homes or households. And in the end of it all, using these very platforms, the extension service providers from the government are coming to support these groups with financial literacy. They are coming with the business skills, but also even the leaders are meeting these people in this one group, the ISAF, where they are supporting them with whatever information that is available at district level, but also participating to build their capacities. Because she has already said that these places are now taken as homes, new homes for persons with disabilities. Because there is a lot that happens within this area and people just look at when the next day will come for meeting. Because as we said, there is attitude issue in our homes, sometimes in our community. But now that they are with their colleagues, sometimes they are able to basically interact freely without any disturbance. And they feel more at peace than even when they're at home. Yeah.
A quick one. We are realizing that I know we've all heard about the PDM, that government program. It's become very easy for the district local governments to target these groups because they're already self-mobilized. Okay. They are actually going ahead to do registration at the district. And then when these government programs come, they are looking at targeted mobilized groups already organized, and it becomes very easy for the government to target these groups because they're already in existence. And a number of them have already accessed this money.
James, what is that one story that you've taken away from these 5 years? Probably someone who has, you've seen their journey from start to end, and you know that this person has really come a long way. Could you probably share about probably this individual?
I want to bend on one of the stories of Evelyn in Arua, who is a lady with a disability. And this lady, her land was grabbed away from her by family members, by the husband actually. So she went back to her father's home, who again gave her land or allocated land to her, which land was again grabbed by family members. But through the Association of Persons with Disabilities and the local council leadership, she was able to get her land back. That story is a good story because for us now, you see the engagement of the OPD, which is the city union, and then you also see the involvement of the local council leadership to come and support a person with disability who, just got a disability in her early adulthood stage and then later was discriminated. And when we talk about discrimination, that is justified by grabbing her land and taking it away from her by family members, thinking that she cannot actively participate or make good use of it. So for us, that's a very good story. It's a very good change story that as we speak, she can actively participate in agriculture. She can look after her family. When you look at the livelihood transformation, if you trace it, she can take good care of her children. She can pay school fees for her children. She owns the land. She has built a house. So it's a very good story for us. Yeah.
That's very amazing. And also I think teach them while they're young, because you see, many people do not understand that this can happen to anybody. You see, Evelyn got it when she was older, and it can happen to everybody. So probably starting from schools, teaching these children how to treat one another, being human with one another. And that is a very amazing story that you've just told. Yes, I'll just go to Robert. And this is a question for all of you now. You've done this for 5 years. You've seen challenges. You've gone through them, hurdles, you've given solutions. But if you're given another 5 years, what are some of those gaps that you've noticed as you're ending this project? And you said, no, we want to actually correct this maybe in the next 5 years as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If given opportunity in the next 5 years, this project at first, the concentration was more at community level and district level. By the time we started thinking of coming to the national level seriously, the project is almost wrapping up. But we are aware that there are a number of policies that support persons with disabilities. But because no one is following them up, even at a parliamentary level, they keep a blind ear or eye on to this. So what can I then say? If given an opportunity, the emphasis will be more at the national level to ensure that whatever is achieved here is cascaded down. But because we've gathered a lot of information in communities, and we have this information right now, it is the time to engage ministries, it is the time to engage the departments at different levels. But because of the time, we've not been able to do this ably. Yes, we've done what we have done. For example, we've engaged the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Right now, I was told they are discussing matters on adding 500,000 per person with disability who gets PDM on top of the 1 million. But this comes out at a time when we are exiting. How about its implementation? If we are still around, those are the things we can think of doing. Talk about the PDM. I would think that there is a lot to be done to increase the percentage of persons with disabilities per group that benefits from the PDM. There are also other government programs that are coming up, and we would want a person with disability to sit on those tables to discuss matters of persons with disabilities, but also influence the percentages. And then if I'm still given an opportunity or this program comes back for 5 years, I will make sure that most of the people that are speaking are no longer now the non-person with disabilities. We now move the person with disabilities at the forefront to speak for themselves now that we've given them the capacity. But when we exit, who knows? Their capacity will keep again reducing or going back. Because sustainability of such capacities sometimes needs some bit of resources which may not be available, and when they get a hiccup here and there, they may decide to step back. Yeah, but overall, I feel we've done some good job, and we know we've left a mark in each and every district of operation. We have very strong people we are thinking, even when we left today, they will keep managing, especially the district unions. We've been, for the last 2 years, we've been shifting funding to them, and their capacities have been built, their systems have been built, and we feel they are ready to go. They've even come up with strategic plans up to 2029. And all these ones are going to be supporting persons with disabilities in terms of access to land, in terms of registration. So these are all going to be followed up. Imagine such a petition has just been raised and it needs to be followed up, but the project is ending. If other people don't follow it up, then it will die a natural death. So there are quite a number of things we've already put in position, but they need to be followed up. And if given opportunity, those are the starting areas. But one thing I want to say, putting persons with disabilities at the forefront should be key. We all need to know and understand that persons with disabilities are just like the non-persons with disabilities. And it is why when they are put together in the same class, given the same environment, they can even do better than those who think are non-persons with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel, so with you monitoring and evaluation, what do you think would be done going forward?
Yeah, before I even talk about on the side of monitoring, learning and evaluation, for me, I wanted to incline so much around the community. Yes, we have these two models that we're targeting the community, but I would ask, in case the opportunity is there, to see how we can improve around, I don't know the right word to use, but around that agricultural thing where we have continuous trainings on how exactly we can have improved agricultural mechanisms. Yes, the people know exactly what they want. They've already planned, we want to have this kind of garden and what, but we were not in position to take them through those good agricultural practices or methods. or how best can they do it. And even then, when we're expected to see how we can bring on board the public authorities through the agriculture extension workers, we must accept that this is not something that is going to happen every now and then. They also have their constraints with funding or resources to support these very many community members. So if maybe the project is targeting the planning and then they integrate it with trainings in good agricultural practices, it would be good. But away from that, for me, one thing I have seen and learned, maybe we did not embrace that good documentation. The things that we are doing now are just coming up. If only we had prioritized that in terms of our planning, the budgets and what would be putting out so much, and maybe also being used to influence the policies, ask for support, lobbying in any way. We need to strengthen documentation and ensure that there is continuous learning within the project. In so doing, we are in position to put out the things that we are able to achieve on. It's a lobby and advocacy project that some of them are going to be spilled over or reflected after, maybe even these 5 years. But can we be in position to document, and be given spaces and platforms to share the good things that we have done?
Keeping archives is very, very important. For James, you're working with public authorities, and from your point of view, what gap did you realize, and what would you have, done in the next 5 years?
One of the gaps is that the misconception that persons with disabilities are in their own space, and therefore the rest of us, we may not do too much, we may not commit too much to the change processes to disability inclusion. But I want to assure you, each one of us is a candidate to impairment or disability. And therefore, instead of even doing as if it is a favor, rather, it should be, it should come with a lot of empathy, that we put on their shoes and assume if it were us. I think the commitment levels would be even high. That is why whoever was at the Global Disability Summit this time in Bahrain, instead of that slogan of nothing for us without us, they are trying to actually want to change it to now nothing without us completely. That is one. Now, from the public authority angle, one of the gaps that we would need to address going forward, if an opportunity arose, would be to ensure that we link whether models or interventions to governance aspects. Because as we speak, we are exiting, but the local chairpersons will always be there in the community. Community leaders will always be there. Community development officers will always be there. So I think for me, we would need to pay a lot of attention to linking every model of ours or intervention to the existing governance structures to again facilitate the sustainability and exit strategy going forward. The other gap would be, like Robert mentioned, the national organizations that would ideally be well positioned to support sustainability have not been engaged a lot. We can talk about the Urban Authorities Association of Uganda. We can talk about the Uganda Local Government Authority. Now, these are membership organizations that ideally, if we are operating in local governments, we must be moving with them together for them to appreciate if we have operated in 5 out of the so many in this country, what is the scale-up plan or replication? What are the best practices that they can now pick from the 5 local governments and then extend to their other members? So that with or without the program, there should be an initiative, or if an opportunity arose, they should be in position to justify a case that these are the practices that are really giving us disability inclusion that should take us there, which I think we can think through. But I think for me it was a gap that we needed to address. And of course, documentation. Quite a lot of good stories, they know. Quite a lot of good stories are in the field there. every time we engage stakeholders, they are good stories. When we ask for these stories in terms of documentation, we seem not to have the literature to give us this clear picture that people are really bringing out in terms of the conversations. So documentation is something that would really address, so that we keep track and trace of that change in the lives of the persons with disabilities, or even the households with the persons with disabilities and the entire communities where they live. So those are some of the gaps that I think we could really address.
On addition to James, I just told you we've only been operating in 5 districts. That is in Acholi sub-region and West Nile. Actually, within those regions, we've not even covered most of the districts. So if there is another opportunity that comes, persons with disabilities don't live only in Acholi or West Nile. We would love also to extend to east, to west, something like that, and cover the entire country. We've not been in the central. Yes, we are based in the central, but we just travel to the rest of the other areas. And the persons with disabilities in east, central, and western Uganda have not benefited in this, apart from a few lobby and advocacy platforms that they could have benefited from. But if an opportunity arises, that would be also another starting point.
The gap I was struggling with was in terms of the structure. I think by design, we concentrated much at the district level in terms of strengthening public authority capacities of public authorities. But you see that there is a lot of grounded importance in dealing with the lower local governments, the sub-counties, the villages. That structure is very key. And I think it's not a structure we picked up from the beginning, from the initial stages. We did a lot of efforts and capacity strengthening with the district local government, so even the city for Arua case. But I think it was a gap that, given an opportunity, it's something that we could really address and then ensure that we build the capacities of all the local government structures. Because then in terms of sustainability at this point, we are now going back to the community leadership. But we've been dealing with the district chairpersons and the other technical persons or political persons. But at the local governments, I mean, in terms of sustainability and as we exit, these structures are very key. So it's something we would address going forward.
Something interesting around the way that we are able was built up. It was focusing more on the hardware. So when we are engaging with these people, they expect something to be given in the hand. And for us, we are believing in more of mindset change and all that. So I don't know, because we cannot commit ourselves, most of the funding spaces are going towards mindset change rather than giving something. So if there is a way, maybe through the public authorities, they can really support in terms of, maybe if we can work together to come up with detailed structures that can create that linkage, that as we support these communities, we bring on board the CSOs, on board the public authorities. Who are these ones that are in position to give the assisted devices in this case? Who are these ones that are doing the seedlings, the trees, the what, to now support the already capacitated communities? Otherwise, there is that gap of, yes, you've given us the capacity, but we don't know. So that linkage, if it can be strengthened, established and strengthened, and then kept on rolling, it's a very big challenge. And it's been a challenge, yes.
Those are very amazing insights that you have all given, and continuity is really, really key in this project, because I've had really amazing stories from you, and personally, I've had very many misconceptions about people living with disabilities. You sit in a taxi, someone is saying something about albinism, and you hear the most rampant and weird conversations, and we should all do our bit as people in the community, just to educate one another and tell people, no. When you hear this conversation in a taxi, in your community, the language that is being used, silence these people, tell them what is going on and what they can do to support people living with disabilities. Thank you so much for talking about the disability rights, talking about the land rights that you've given these people, and the things that are going to continue happening in these communities. This has been Voices of Ability, brought to you by the We Are able program. Until next time, keep listening and keep including. Thank you so much.